another round of Inside the Clinch. Coming to you live from the Big Apple, Queens, New York. We are the home of all your MMA news, fights, and content. Here are your hosts, Johnny and Eric.
So today is a very special day because we have our very first guest, Antonio The Spartan Caruso. Just a little background on Mr. Caruso for those of you that don't know him. He's a professional MMA fighter fighting for one championship out of South Australia. Currently holds a professional record of 8-1. He's coming off a huge win over Edward Folyang, a former two-time one championship lightweight champion of the world. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us. We definitely really appreciate it. So how this is going to work, we're going to ask you questions relating to your career, and we're just going to pick your brain, basically.
All right? Sounds good, man. Sounds good.
All right. So first things first, I guess you had recently your first career loss to Peter Burst, but you came back in a huge win over Edward Folyang. So how does it feel to, I guess, have such a strong comeback after your first loss?
Yeah, man, it feels good. For me, it's, I guess, in the sense that, it's good to be back where I belong in the winning column, you know what I mean? And to go out there and perform and prove to myself and to the world that I have what it takes to take on the world's best, it's an awesome feeling.
Yeah, you definitely showed that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Was there anything else that you did in this fight that was different from your last fight that you think may have caused a difference in outcome?
Yeah, big thing was just the learning curve. I come from an area in Australia where there's no professional fighters doing what I do. So, you got to learn sometimes the hard way for me. And I did that in my first fight. I made some errors in terms of training, overtraining. I made some errors in terms of, flights. So I was taking, multiple. I flew from America to Australia, then Australia to Jakarta within only a couple of days, and really messed with my body clock and affected my performance. So this time we flew directly to Singapore and felt much better for it. I felt much more adjusted to the time and had a better performance.
You're currently training in South Australia, correct?
Currently now, while I'm here until I can go back to Florida.
Because I thought you were training in Miami, no? But that's why I was a little confused with the time difference.
So I'm supposed to. I've moved to Florida and living out there for the next 2 years of my contract, but unfortunately due to COVID, I've been unable to do that. So I had to come back to Australia, and we can only really go there for camps, and we can't really stay there anymore, which is disappointing.
Gotcha. So coming off such a win, do you have anyone in particular in mind you want to fight next, or any particular direction you want to go?
Man, you know what I mean? Obviously, work our way up the rankings is always, I guess, always on the mind. But, Eddie Alvarez is a fight that I'd like to take. I'd love to challenge myself against a guy like him, a living legend of the game. But, anyone in the top 5 and anyone that, I guess, won championship put towards me.
What about, Christian Lee? Any thoughts about him?
Look, of course, the championship fight's always what we all want. But, to be honest, man, you got to earn your time to be a champion. You don't just become a champion overnight. But, that's a fight that it's on the radar now. It's something I'm thinking about. But, there's plenty of guys ahead of me which respectively deserve a shot over me. And I'm not, I'm not one to jump the queue. I'm willing to wait in line and earn my title shot. So, look, of course he's on the radar, but I think there's guys out there who are a bit more deserving of it than myself.
That's awesome to hear, because I feel like a lot of fighters won't say that. Most fighters would be like, nah, give me that shit right now.
Yeah. No, I'm an honest guy, you know what I mean? And, there's got, like I said, if they offered it to me and it was right, we'd do it. But at the same time, like, I'm not sitting there going, oh, Christian Lee's next. I know I won my first fight and won championship, so I got to work my way up the ladder.
Yeah. So what do you think about your fighting style makes you unique or sets you apart from the rest of the division?
I think it's really my work rate. You know what I mean? I really pride myself on hard work, getting in your face, putting up a relentless pressure that no one can deal with. I don't care what skills you're going to present to me, what power you're going to present to me. I'm gonna drain that all from you with my pressure and yeah, that's I think one of my biggest things. And also, I feel well rounded. A lot of guys always say they're well rounded, but I've had 6 pro boxing fights. I got a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. I wrestle at Sanford MMA under Greg Jones and Cammy and 2 of the best coaches in the world. So, I'm well rounded. There's nothing that I haven't seen before, and there's nothing, that I'm afraid of. So, I feel that's another big aspect that is big about my game.
Yeah, your pressure is definitely a big component. I've seen over the last couple of fights, especially on the ground. You really know your ground positioning very well. You know how to, keep your opponent where you want him and able to apply that pressure. So it's great to see, and hope to continue seeing you grow.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. So moving on to the next question. So you're from South Australia. What would it mean to you to become the first MMA world champion coming out of that region?
Huge, man. It's I think the biggest thing, I can't speak on other sports, but I know, for myself and especially for fighters, we just want to leave a legacy. And if I'm able to be the first ever world champion, coming out of my city, I guess a legacy that will never ever be, beaten. There can only ever be one first. So, to do it would be a massive deal, man. It's like I said, for me as a fighter, I just want to leave a legacy that will never be forgotten, and that's what I'm planning on doing.
On the right track, I can tell you that.
Thank you.
So are there any MMA role models or any, I guess, fighting role models that you look up to in early part of your career or maybe even now?
Yeah, man. A lot of guys now. Now just recently, I've become a huge fan of mixed martial arts. Like I've watched as many fights as I can. I actually love sitting down and watching all the fights. I watch for the card from top to bottom. Bellator, UFC One Championship. I watch them all. I just love watching combat sport now. But yeah, just as a kid growing up, I mean, I was a huge fan of George St. Pierre. You know what I mean? To me, he was the real life without a lot of people, it offends people when I say this, but he was the real life Bruce Lee. You know what I mean? Bruce Lee spoke about it, but George St. Pierre did it, and that's why to me he was just like a living legend. He still is to this day. I just think he's the guy that a lot of young fighters should look up to. He had everything. He was classy. His fight style was untouchable. He had fitness, he had strength, he had it all. He could wrestle, he could punch, and I just was a huge fan of him growing up.
And plus, he's a great dude. Aside from all the
that too.
Ambassador for the sport.
And that's what I mean. That's what I mean. He had it all. He had everything inside and outside the ring. He's the perfect role model as a martial artist. You know what I mean? But now definitely I'm a huge fan of. And it's funny because a lot of the guys that I train with, I've become huge fans of them. Guys like Linton Vassell and Bellator, Aung Lan Sung, who's the One Championship champion, Martin Nguyen, guys like Robbie Lawler. I'm fortunate enough to get to work alongside these guys now, but I'm also a huge fan of them, and I have no issues in saying that. I have no ego to say, yeah, I'm a fan of these guys. Like when I see them, it's amazing to get on the mats with them, and I want to beat them. I want to be just as good as them. I'm a huge fan of these guys. I look up to these guys, and I admire the work they do inside and outside the cage.
Yeah. So on the topic of UFC, since we're talking about Robbie Lawler and George St. Pierre. So the UFC welterweight division right now it's pretty stacked, and Eric and I we live in New York, so we're pretty huge UFC fans. I just wanted to know, like, how do you think you would size up with opponents such as like Kamaru Usman, Tyron Woodley, Colby Covington, because they're in your weight class, Khamzat Chimaev, and I feel like I've been watching a lot of your film these past few days, and I feel like you got a good shot.
Well, look, man, at the end of the day, let me tell you one thing. It's these guys seem larger than life, and it's almost like when I first went over to that gym, they did a lot of those guys. To me, were a bit like, I don't know if I can hang with these guys. But as soon as you get your hands on them, and you feel your power against them, you're like, at the end of the day, they're just the guy who got a shot, what I haven't yet. So, with the right training and the right paths, yeah, you know what I mean. I definitely would love one day to match up against guys like that. And I've actually been lucky enough to work with a guy like Kamaru Usman. Not much, because he's out of Sanford as well was. And I've been able to work with him and feel his power and his strength. And yeah, you know what I mean. You know, I found out going to that gym that I'm not far off these best guys in the world, and
They're not.
I'm only just at the beginning of my journey. So yeah, I can't wait to hopefully get a chance at them one day.
So who'd you say in the gym gives you the toughest push in the gym on the mat?
Oh, look, man, when you're in that gym, you tease everyone. There's no easy rounds, let me tell that, man. There's not one day where you're like, oh, today's going to be easy. Today's the easy. There is no easy day. Let me tell that. Everyone's hard, and that's why we're so successful, because there is no easy round. There is no, no easier guy to go with. Everyone's hungry. Everyone's deadly. So yeah, it's what's making, the gym one of the best gyms in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys got some killers coming out of there.
Yeah.
So do you plan on staying with one championship your entire career, or is that just in the air right now?
Look, at the end of the day, we'll talk about that stuff when we'll cross that bridge when that bridge is, we get to it. But at the end of the day, I really enjoy working for one championship. I love it. I love being there. I like Chatri's vision. I like what he's doing with the martial arts game. I felt like it started to become very entertainment based, very, let's bring Brock Lesnar, let's bring CM Punk in, and it was getting a bit crazy there for a while. And I think one championship actually made the UFC sort of focus more on the fighters and present great fights. So like, I've got to give it to her, even though I'm a championship fighter. I love watching some of the matchups in the UFC. Like, they've really started turning the heat up, and I feel like that came from the pressure from places like One Championship putting the standard back, like, to martial arts, and it's actually helped with the whole thing. So in saying that, yeah, I love being One Championship. I'd love to stay there, but at the end of the day, we'll worry about that when the contract comes time, and we'll see what our options are.
Okay, that's fair. So you're fighting for one of the biggest promotions right now in MMA, right? To our listeners that are considering maybe getting into the sport or just training for themselves, what's one piece of advice you would give them, giving your accolades and your accomplishments in the sport?
Look, learn to appreciate. Look, this is like no sport other in the world. There's nothing like it. You cannot compare football and soccer and hockey and whatever you want to call. There's nothing like it. So you've really got to get into the sport. Learn to love, like, not only it's not only a sport. It's a way of life. Martial arts. It really is. It's something that you've got to. It's in you. So you got to breathe it. You got to love it. You got to watch. You got to appreciate it. And like. I'm not sure many fighters like me, but I can call a guy, even if he's in my weight class, I'm gonna fight him. I'd say, yeah, bro, like Edward Falang, I said to him straight up, I'm a fan of you, man. Like, I like you. I like you as a fighter. I appreciate you. I mean, I'm gonna beat you up on the day, but I'm a fan. I think that's what a lot of young kids got. This isn't football. It's not Instagram based. It's martial arts. Learn to love it. Don't chase a fight. Let it come to you, and just appreciate it for what it is. And that's probably the best advice I can give to them. And everyone should train. I think everyone should train fighting. It's a great way to find out who you are as a person, and I think everyone should do it.
Yeah, so me and Eric actually, we both trained in judo for many years. Competed like internationally. I competed in Russia, so we kind of sort of know how it's like. Obviously not on your level, but we're more.
Yeah, but that's another. That's what I mean by saying just everyone should train, because at the end of the day, not everyone can be the world champion. Not everyone can fight on the biggest promotions in the world, but doesn't mean, like, you guys do it just as much as I do it. And you see it's a way of life. Like, you travel to Russia, like you just said, for you sacrifice so much for this sport, and there is no other sport in the world like this. That's why you see NFL guys and football players in Australia, soccer players. Those guys get handed everything. Everything gets given to them: physios, doctors, dietitians, food. Guys like us, man, we got to fly ourselves to our competitions and risk it all,
Yep.
And what's it all for sometimes? It's probably for nothing half the time, but we love it. And
I feel like that's temporary. I feel like in the next 15 to 20 years, it's going to be a totally different story, because MMA is like, it's becoming more mainstream, you know what I mean?
It's growing, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's going to grow and it's going to get better. I hope it doesn't take 15 years, 20 years, because then I'll be retired.
Yeah.
So hopefully it can come sooner rather than later. Nah, but it is. It's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get more mainstream. But the big thing is just trying to make fight. I think a lot of people find fighting to be a bit taboo because it's fighting, it's violent. But once you get to know it, you're like, it's not violent. It's just someone does get hurt, but so does people in NFL and soccer and it's just a sport like any other sport, and people got to, once they get to see that part of it, they'll appreciate it a lot more.
I agree.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think it's safe to say you're still in the first half of your career. So looking in the long term, I guess, do you have any long-term goals you want to accomplish or anything you want to achieve before you hang up the gloves?
Of course, man. Just getting to the highest level is obviously one of my biggest things I want to achieve. But yeah, just see how far I can take it, man. I've never put any restrictions or goals on myself. I just wanted to compete. My goal was to have one fight when I first started. I said I just want to have one fight. That way, one day if I ever open a gym, I can teach, and I don't have to be one of those. Once was a training. I wanted to be a true coach. So I went out there, had one fight. I fell in love with it. So I mean, I achieved all my goals for now, and I'm not going to put any requirements on myself. I'm just going to keep following this journey and see how far it can take me.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah,
So,
you seem like you're loving it so far. So as long as you're able to carry that with you.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, man.
yeah. So to end off on a different type of note. So I know you're involved in MMA. You train hard. You're the Spartan, as I understand. You got that nickname from training so much, right? Is that accurate to say?
Mm-hmm.
The Spartan.
Yeah.
So what do you like to do aside from mixed martial arts? What are you like doing for fun in your spare time? Like, what do you do?
So probably my biggest passion is what I love is I love coffee, and I love it. Like I could drink about it, I could talk about it. I just love it. I just love making coffee. I love talking about coffee. That's probably one of my biggest probably passions. And yeah, just traveling. I love to see the world, man. Like I've been fortunate enough to go to about 36 different countries. I think I always get confused. It's 30 something countries now. And I've seen all over the world. I've been to Africa. I've been to South America, all over Europe. I've been to America. And so they're my two things, man. I love to just get on a plane and have a coffee. They're my two things. And I love my food as well. I'm Italian Greek background. So I love my food. I love good food, good coffee, and traveling.
You got the Karate Kid last name.
Yeah. Almost. It's close enough, but it's close enough.
I actually just watched, I don't know if you know the show Cobra Kai on Netflix. You heard of it or no?
Yeah, I watched the first episode, but yeah, I'm not a big TV watcher.
Yeah, it's a good show though. Anything else, Eric?
No, I think that's it for me. Thank you very much for your time. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say before we finish up here.
Have you ever been to New York?
No, just
You ever been to New York?
I have. I went to New York at about 2014. I went for Christmas, and I liked it. I loved it. It was a nice place. The funny thing, I was young. I was only 23, 24, and I didn't really appreciate it for what it was. And then I went back about a year ago. I went back to New York only for a day to watch Bellator in New York at Madison Square Garden, and I fell in love, man. I was like, man, this place is amazing. Like, I was planning on coming over there and spending a bit of time with the Danaher team there, the Renzo Gracie, because I've got a few friends there. Craig Jones and that there, and I was going to go there and train, but unfortunately COVID hit, and just really COVID destroyed everything, hasn't it? So that doesn't matter. I'll get back over to New York. I'm sure I love it. Good food and good coffee. That's about the only place in America that's got good coffee is New York.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you're always welcome back here. We'd be glad to have you back.
Appreciate it, boys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and thank you for the support. You were one of our first supporters 2 months ago.
Hey, man.
Podcast, and we want you as our first guest.
Now, I appreciate it. Look, the reason why I like doing shows like yourself, and look, I know they're not huge shows. I know it's not ESPN, but hey, we all got to start somewhere, man. I started just like you guys, very grassroots, and I love to give my time to you guys, as much as I can, the podcast, and I don't want to go to the always just mainstream. I want to, be appreciated by the people, and, as a martial artist, you got to remember we all start somewhere, so you boys keep on doing your thing. I'll be sure to keep up with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Best of luck.
Thank you, boys.
Man. Thank you.